A big old congratulations is in order for Stephen A. Smith. He has agreed to a new deal with ESPN that is, according to New York Post, worth at least $100 million. Woo! Unc, you got the bag, boy. Stephen A. Smith will remain a face of ESPN's First Take, but some of his appearances will pull back a little bit because Stephen A. in his new contract has been granted more opportunities to discuss politics. I'm sure that is a very sensitive one for ESPN. If you keep in mind, remember, that's why Jemele Hill's no longer there, right? The new president of ESPN wanted to pull back on some of those things at the time. Like, they wanted to just be a sports show. Stephen A., the face of a sports network, talking politics throughout the week, right? It's going to obviously create headlines that say ESPN Stephen A. Smith said this. So the fact that he's been able to negotiate that in his contract, I think it's a big deal. If you ask me what's been the biggest piece to Stephen A. getting this big old new deal, he has his Stephen A. Smith show on the side. He works incredibly hard, always has been that. And then also helping bring in Shannon Sharpe is a big deal. Shannon Sharpe is going to be the face of First Take, in my opinion, going forward. And Stephen A.'s, I assume, getting a lot of credit for bringing him in. Shannon Sharpe, big deal, big brand, big money maker for the worldwide leader in sports. Speaking of Stephen A. Smith in politics, I thought this was interesting. So there was a poll that released this year that essentially predicted who will be the next Democratic nominee for the 2028 election in the event that Kamala Harris doesn't run. And one of the guys that got a small percentage of the votes, because there's a lot of candidates at this time, right, that people are predicting will run, was Stephen A. Smith. When asked about that, Stephen A. admitted the Democratic Party, they're lost. They've had a few bad months. We all know this. And even though there's a lot of qualified Democrats all over the country from a local perspective, governors, mayors, stuff like that, there's no real national voice. They've come to me. And I did not ask for this. I have a very, very good life, so I'm good. Well, since that, though, Stephen A. has been moving more presidential, doing some very electoral press runs. And since he made that comment, Stephen A. hasn't dismissed the notion of potentially running for president in 2028 again. He said it, but then he's kind of like did things that tell you maybe not so much. He may run, right? And let me say this. I worked with Stephen A. for about a month, all right, when I was at ESPN. I did breakfast with the brother, paid for my breakfast, obviously. He used to call me Antoine. So my name is Alfred. He called me Antoine. Whatever Stephen A. calls you, you just take it, okay? There is a certain aura about him that I can't explain to you. I've been around a lot of celebrities in my life. You name them, I've been around them. I don't really get too fixated on celebrity like that. That's not my thing. I'm not knocking nobody. I've been there. The first time I met Yo Gotti, he's my favorite rapper of all time, there was an aura about him, but that was more or less on some fandom type stuff. Stephen A., when I got in the building and I realized, okay, this is my job in Connecticut. After a couple weeks, I was like, all right, you work with this dude now. But he does have an aura about him. And if you ever get a chance to have a conversation with him like I did behind the scenes, and I won't tell too much, this is a very shrewd businessman. Like, so if you're asking me, could Stephen A. be the president? My guess is he probably wouldn't get 51% of the vote, right? But do I believe Stephen A. could have an effect on the next Democratic candidate because he's going to steal a lot of votes? Yes, because his vernacular is really well. And behind the scenes, you really understand he's a very shrewd, non-emotional businessman. And I bet you some people that know him a lot better than I got to know him would tell you that. Just very realistic, very shrewd how he operates in business. It's cutthroat city. Like, it's cutthroat city how he operates. And I remember a guy that looked out for me as an intern and would check on me and the other brothers at ESPN and ask us questions. Yo, how they treating y'all? Okay, if you got any problems, let me know, because you know I don't play about my young black brothers in the business. These are real things that he said to me. He would walk up to you and make you feel good as an intern. I used to wear baggy suits. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Stephen A. gets it to go for presidency. I don't watch what people say. I watch what they do in life. Stephen A. seems very passionate about politics. I will say this. As a guy that got to work with him a little bit. I don't see that passion about sports like I used to, day in, day out. Yes, if the Cowboys got a big game, the Steelers got a big game, the Yankees, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Warriors, you see it, right? But night in, night out, I don't see it like I used to. And now he just made $100 million. So who gives a damn if I can see it or not? Clearly, the people who need to see it, I can't pay him $100 million. I'm just telling y'all what I see. And actions mean something to me. I think I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I've met 2 black brothers in my life that I believe both have the opportunity to be president. I'm married. Andre Dickens in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe he's going to be a presidential candidate one day. And I wouldn't be surprised, now that I think about it more, if Stephen A. Smith gives it a go for presidency. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. If you love flexing your sports knowledge, you should head over to the best place to play fantasy sports and win some money while you're at it. That's Underdog. For me, I love the pick'em game. It's super simple to play too. All you got to do is go to the Underdog website or app. You got to pick whether a player will have a higher or lower stat line for that specific game. You get your picks right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. And when you sign up, if you use your boy's promo code, which is FERRO, your deposit will get matched up to $1,000 is available to you in bonus cash. You can't beat that. Tap in with Underdog. My promo code is FERRO.